Good evening, Dharma brothers and sisters. We have about a dozen people here in person and a similar number online. And welcome to this special event, one of the four, what we might call public holidays or festival days of the Buddhist calendar, Chötrul Düchen. This evening is a full moon, the first of the lunar Tibetan year, whereby we observe the anniversary of the Buddha sharing miracles for 2 weeks. We will be celebrating by performing the 16 Arahat Puja. For those here in person, please stay afterwards for a light supper. Because this event is on a Tuesday evening, when we usually hold a Rongton philosophy class, this 8-week course will be extended by 1 week. So thank you all for visiting, and I'll pass you on to Lama Choedak Rinpoche, who will be leading the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Zanua, and good evening, everyone. Good, happy, we can't really say happy, enlightening Chötrul Düchen. The happy such and such sounds very un-Buddhist, because there is no real happiness in samsara, I must say. There's only temporary pleasures. Anyway, so it's very good that we can have this time tonight dedicated to celebrate the 2,560 over years of enlightening deeds and inspiration, which touch many people's lives, including you. So It's not talking about a couple of hundred years of lifespan of Buddhism in Tibet or somewhere else, Some people think things only started with a particular lineage in Tibet only 700 years ago or 600 years ago, and people really forget the history before that. Everything happened because of the Buddha, not because of some Tibetan king or monk or reviver or whatever it is, I just heard some people say today marks the 600 and such since the Monlam was started in Tibet. I said, give me a break, what the hell are you talking about? Buddha showed miracles in Shravasti, at the behest of many Indian kings, Prasenajit, Bimbisara, and so on, who were his followers. And these people all lived in 2,560 years ago. So this Chötrul Düchen and Tibetan Lunar New Year is not a cultural New Year, really. It is celebrating Buddha's showing of the miracles from the first LOSAR day until today, the 15th day. So whole reason to celebrate LOSAR is not just cultural reason to be Tibetan or whatever, Eastern Asian or whatever it is, because every culture seems to have a new year, The other day I was in Sydney, the Tibetans were celebrating New Year, and they were saying 2,150th year, Tibetan year is 2,000. And then some of the Australian MPs, she says, could you please explain how come you guys have more than 2,023 years? I think they think the world started only at 2,023 years ago. It's not like that. So we need to remember and commemorate. Of course, if you don't know, you can't remember. If you don't know, you can't remember. So to remember, you have to first have learned it, heard about it, and then commemorate it. So today I wanted to tell you what is remembered. Of course, Buddha's enlightenment itself is miraculous. And everything else after that, 45 years of his life, was miraculous. There was no one moment that was no miraculous, meaning something wondrous. It isn't a spectacle. Miracles are not a spectacle to watch, like Indian magicians do with the killing their kid on the road and collect money, or wherever the magicians perform such tricks, Such is not. If I can't hold this and turn this into a liquid bronze, you would think it's miracle, but it's not. This was liquid once upon a time, and then it became shaped into this. So every metallurgical skill is a miraculous activities, transformations. If transformation is miracle, it's a thought that is diluted into enlightenment. From hate to kindness, from wrong view to right view, that's a real miracle. So whole teachings and life of Buddha is miraculously inconceivable in our little minds. So Buddha was not like his contemporary spiritual teachers showing miracles to gather disciples. He actually treated that as a taboo. Showing miracles and try to attract followers wasn't the way of the Buddha. He said he doesn't give holy water to wash people's negative karma or whatever. They have to know the way and follow the practice. He wasn't into showing miracles and washing people's misdeeds and giving them the front seat in heaven. He doesn't say there's such a thing. So, distinctive feature of Buddhism should not be watered down by the wonders and miracles of rainbows, of some relics and all these things. These are still possible. Good things, causes, a condition can make things happen, but most important thing is we need to see our mind stream change from ill will to goodwill and selfishness to selflessness and thinking things are permanent when they're impermanent. We need to change that mentality. Then we are miraculous. Then we really have miraculous ability to change, shift in no time. Then we are not only changing metal into liquid, but we can say one thought into another thought, ill will into goodwill, and so on. So there was really no time the Buddha ever propagated or encouraged miracles. He warned his disciples from showing miracles or being a soothsayer or fortune telling and predicting the past and telling what's wrong. Lots of these kind of animistic beliefs, unfortunately, are in certain Buddhist circles. Tibetan Buddhism is not the exception. It suffers terribly in these beliefs of predictions and doing various rituals to thing. Rituals is still skillful, but predictions and people expecting on that rather than their own karma and so on. They go to hire the lamas. They think that much they know their future, and they expect to get some answers what they should or shouldn't do. This kind of figment of imagination has gone far too into Tibetan Buddhism to lose the real magic of Buddhism. So it's time to change that. So when we talk about celebrating miracles of Buddha showing miracle, we should not see these spectacles as only 15 days Buddha did just at the repeated request of these difficult kings. But he did for 45 years of teaching. He never did that. But nevertheless, because of the multitude of people, only tend to follow those who can show some miracles. Like Sai Baba had lots of followers because he can produce some ashes out of his fingers or something. I'm thinking we are all ashes anyway. Just questions how badly lumped we are. We are so lumped that we are not flaking just quickly. So people are always into spiritual masters who can show these various things. Some may have skills. We're not saying they don't have supernatural power if necessary, but Buddhist practitioners should hesitate showing, let alone claiming that they have such supernatural powers. But there's still this mystical belief among Tibetan Buddhists, and Buddhists say, oh, he's so holy, he touched me, he looked at me, things change. People say all sorts of that kind of supernatural stories, yeah? So really I wanted to highlight the teaching of Buddha is the most wondrous thing. Wait until it changes you and you change yourself, your perception and your attitudes. That's the most miraculous one. This you can't just celebrate in the first 2 weeks of the year and then forget the rest of the year. But nevertheless, historically, we must remember that these 15 days did mark special events in the life of Buddha. So beside the Buddha's various rivals who challenged him to show miracles, even though no one's request was heeded to by the Buddha, but nevertheless, later on by his own devotees, like the kings requested, and then Buddha showed these following items. I would say miracles. There are 15 actual miracles. I won't go into great detail who and where and so on, but most of them are shown in Shravasti. So Shravasti is where Buddha spent 25 years. Whereas Bodh Gaya, he may have spent 6 years meditating, thereabout, maybe a couple of months extra, but not much. But the actual teaching of the Buddha held most of the time in Shravasti. Even Varanasi is not a place where Buddha taught most. It's the first sermons is said to have occurred there, but most of the sermons occurred in Shravasti. So the miraculous Shravasti is the most blessed place, really, because Buddha spent 25 rainy season retreats, and ordained thousands, and most of them then became arhats. And if those are not miracles, turning a toothpick into a tree is not miracle, really. What do you reckon? But the 15 miracles are something like that. For instance, on the first day, when Buddha was invited to lunch by King Prasenajit, he's the king of Shravasti, he planted his toothpick. Some people call it toothpick, but I don't know whether it's toothpick. Like we are so organized these days, well, we have toothpicks. I don't know whether this toothpick is correct, but I would say it's what toothpaste. Little twigs of Indians use little pieces of branches to brush teeth, which they even do that. So I think it was that little piece of twig you bite the top and to make a little bit sort of then, and then they used to brush the teeth. So Buddha used such a toothbrush and planted into the upside down on the ground, because he did all this bit and planted on the ground, and miraculously it becomes a huge tree in the presence of everybody. So that would be quite a spectacle, wouldn't it? So that's the first one. On the second day, he created, because Shravasti is a flat area. There's no mountain, and then he created a precious mountain with grass, with small piece of grass. He turned into a big mountain with the beautiful fruits, and as abundant enough for everybody to enjoy the sumptuous without going to the woolly of Shravasti. So everybody was entertained, relished the fruits that he miraculously produced out of the huge tree, and which grew out of a big mountain, which was also created. On the third day, he transformed the water that he used to wash his hands into a lake. Come on, we are not talking about Lake Burley Griffin here. Took many years to create the water river going there. He just turned with little water to wash his hands. He turned that into a lake. And fourth day, he created streams flowing into a lake. He just made the sound of the stream, hearing all the sound and truth of the Dharma. All things are impermanent. Don't do ill will. There is no self. You are not your name. He's not what he did. Things like that. All kind of sort of precious wisdoms, like Zen koans, very precious sayings. Just came. People could hear them from the sound of the water. So he turned that. That's the fourth day. Fifth day, he emitted. Now it doesn't mean the Buddha wasn't emitting golden light all the time. That he was doing all sorts of things, but this he made it deliberately so that everybody can visit. Because there are no time the Buddha didn't emit rays of light from his heart all the time. But on the fifth day, everybody watched, everybody witnessed. He's emitting a golden light from his face, and everybody who was there was touched and felt blessed and forgot all their problems. just zzz, everybody was just animated and that. Sixth day, he blessed his disciple to be able to read each other's mind. Everybody's reading each other's mind and can understand each other's mind. We think somebody reads your mind, but I don't think they just turn lucky. They guess right. They're guesstimating, but reading everybody's mind, each other, is quite hard to do. So showing such skill. And the seventh day, he appeared as universal monarch Chakravartin in the eyes of the Shakya clan. That's his own people. In order to, because they have this still resentment that he deserted them. They thought he has become a useless mendicant instead of staying as a powerful king. But Buddha showed that he was still this amazing king. If he necessary, he was showing that he was a universal monarch. So I suppose he was tailoring it according to different people. On the eighth day, he sat on a throne, lifted by 5 lions, flanked by Brahma and Indra. I mean, what bigger miracle you need to show than impressing that even Brahma and Indra is his servants, his attendant. Everybody thought Brahma was big enough to be God in itself, but here no, his Brahma turned into a little attendant. Not that Buddha was showing his arrogance, but just showing where the status of the spiritual realization fit. On the 9th and 10th days, he manifests enormous body. His body was so huge, people couldn't believe. And his body was not body, but just light, body of light. Mhm. And that actually it is. On the 11th day, he remained invisible. Nobody could see him. He entered in a meditative state. Nobody could see him because he was meditating on loving kindness, but everybody could hear him teaching on loving kindness. Wherever they go, they could hear his teaching on loving kindness, that nobody could see where the hell he actually is. So they don't have to sit in one place to see him, to hear him, but they couldn't see him visually, but hear him everywhere. And whatever they heard was teaching on loving kindness that they all need to hear. Yeah. Now these are recorded in sutras. This is not something. On the 12th day, he sent forth golden rays of light, loving kindness, and that all could see. Everybody could see the meditative loving kindness Buddha was beaming out. We are taught how to meditate, sending loving kindness. We try to send. Sending means you think of loving thoughts towards somebody, because we are quite good at sending ill wills. If you know somebody's angry at you, they show you aggression, you straight away feel it. Now, exactly, turning the opposite, you're just radiating loving kindness. And everybody could see that it is not just a thing you believe, but they could see that. On the 13th day, he emitted light from his navel and showed countless Buddha resting on the rays of light. He was sending rays of light from his navel. Then on the rays of beams of light come, there are many Buddhas seated, all stationed on each of the rays. Just incredible, isn't it? Just imagine that. And on the 14th day, he transformed the flower petals thrown onto him into chariots. Whatever. These days, maybe jumbo. You can turn in a jumbo jet or whatever. On the 15th day, he miraculously filled the containers at King Bimbisara with food and also revealed the hell realm to everyone. He showed everybody the hell realms. And he showed them that they could all see. Because previously, Buddha taught there was hell and so on, but they still believed him because his voice, speech had such command. But on that occasion, that's today, 15th day, that everybody could see the hells, and the hell of this, hell of that, and this hell due to the consequences of this action and that action and that action. And everybody gained conviction in the law of cause and effect. So these are the 15 miracles believed to have shown on those 15 days. And then in Tibet, of course, and everywhere, I'm sure in Theravadan countries, whether they celebrate this particular day or not, because all the Buddhist countries have their own calendrical way of doing it. So you can see how confusing things must have been. They translated this and that, and dates different, but they all celebrate birth of the Buddha, enlightenment of the Buddha, and why wouldn't they celebrate all the others? You go to any Buddhist culture, they'll tell you. But the Tibetan and the Mahayana and Himalayan kingdom, they all celebrate this day. So with this short introduction, because about the miraculous day, we're now going to do the 16 Arahat Puja, because 16 Arahat Puja is a very important way to. So this photo shows the 15 miraculous events that was revealed. But those of you all got So you all got the copy of the 16-hour puja, those who are here. Those who you don't, who are on Zoom, we will screen share these prayers. So there's miraculous sound coming up from somewhere. So we will do this prayer mainly constitute invoking 16 of his Buddha's direct disciples, Arhats, one of whom include his own son Rahula. So you will read the description of each of them. So we're invoking they were all appointed and asked by the Buddha to be the ambassador of Dharma, not to attain nirvana and depart from the world, but actually remain in the world to guard the teachings of the Buddha. So whoever does this 16-hour puja with great faith, the Dharma spread and strengthens in that area, that land. The worship of 16 Arahats became very popular, even particularly in China, Mayan country, before anywhere else. Of course, in Theravadan countries, all of these Arahats are very historical figures. They're all honored, they're all revered, but I don't know whether they do 16 Arat puja or not. But they don't need to. But in Mahayana, there was a tradition that one of the Chinese kings was so devoted to the Buddha, and he prayed, and he must be an amazing practitioner. He was, due to his power of his faith, he had vision of all the 16 Arhats, together with the entourage, came to his kingdom and blessed the land. You can see why the Buddha Dharma is so well established in China, from early 2nd century till an only recent catastrophe due to the invasion, due to the communist rise. They destroyed everything that was old. But otherwise, China was the most strongest nation of Buddhism. It still is now. Even with this repression, China has the biggest Buddhist population than anywhere else. India has forgotten everything. India has only got some remnants, but China has many living monasteries, temples. Even they suffered so much under their own political regime, but the temples that in China and Japan are so incredibly highest quality of temples. And they were all influenced by Arhats and Bodhisattvas. China is mainly a land of Buddhist Arhats, Bodhisattvas, Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, Samandabhadra, and all of the Holy Land in China. But it is from China that this 16 Arhat practice came to Tibet. So we must give credit to the Chinese Dharma brothers, earlier practitioners. We are a little bit Indo-philic sometimes. They think everything is Indian. Sure, but Chinese work very hard to guard the Dharma too. In Tibet, we became a little bit biased all of a sudden to go Indian and not to remember the Chinese. We went that in 9th century. I think it's a bit unfair from an overall point of view. From you look at the story of the 16 Arhat, definitely came from China. And it says very clearly that when you do 16 Arhat, it sows the seed of Dharma, it flourishes the Dharma, and stabilize the Sangha and practitioners. So therefore, thank you everybody for being here. Now we're going to do the very practice which involves invoking each of the 16 Arhats, and then praising them, and then offering long life to living great teachers. It says here very clearly, after you invoke all of the 16 Arhats, you visualize them being there, and then each of them has their own very prayer and legacy to fulfill. So it says, may the teachers live long and may the teachings spread. So that's exactly what it is. With the teaching is heeded to and practice, that's a real miracle. In our life. But it's so easy to be idle and lazy, forgetful, negative, judgmental. These are not Dharma. So we need to learn how to not to do them, but how to be inspired by the days like today, and how to go back to the Dharma, not to otherwise. So rest of the word will be pretty self-explanatory, because we're going to do it entirely in English, because there's only me who's Tibetan, which is not important. Usually we do in Tibetan. but we will do in Tibet English tonight. Thank you, everybody. So sit still. It's a form of chanting meditation. You can sit still, just listen, say if you want, or just follow each words and try to know the meaning and try to feel them in your heart and try to include everyone in your thoughts that are terribly troubled by many sufferings, mostly self-cause, of course, but they don't know that. And instead they are pointing and blaming and aiming and reacting and escalating it many more times than it is helping. Feel sorry for this world that is deeply troubled by violence and aggressions, war and famine and many catastrophes. On a personal level, how many individuals are so much brooding with anger and ill will of small miserable things, as if they have long way to be rewarded for doing so, when only they are themselves punishing every moment by that very wrong view and ill will. So therefore we have good reason to pray and to shift our mind and see the light, and therefore let the teachings flourish in our hearts and make the hard, dense and tense feelings become softened and light and dissolved by these prayers. Okay, so with this we'll do the prayer. Thank you. In the Buddha Dhamma Sangha Tiruvudila Dhamma Bhavajuva Yiva Hendala Shari Buddha Udubi in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha Tiruvudila Dhamma Bhavajuva Yiva Hendala Shari Buddha Udubi in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha Tiruvudila Dhamma Bhavajuva Yiva Hendala Shari Buddha Udubi. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they live in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a power from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they live in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion to those near and far. May all beings happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never burn from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they live equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. The truth of the Tibetan review, the grace of the features and design, the history and Dharma do bring for forever a pleasant pressure to one measure. Velayant Lord to the monde, Vivek Glaza Tribubono, Manta is I have enjoyed. Namorana Doya, Namo Bangava, Vajra Zaraba Mandana Dadanga Daya. Arahat Samya Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Bhajamajama Bhajama Denjambe Ma Bidyan Benjama Bodhi Chidamen Ma Bodhi Mendaba Samkramana Vajra Savagama Avaran Bijadana Banjazoa Namorana Jayaya O Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Paramandan Tadangataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vajravaj Ma Vajrama Tenzom Benjama Bijamen Ma Bodhi Chitam Benjama Bodhi Mendaba Sakramana Vajrasavagamara Bijodana Banjazoa Namorana Jayaya O Namo Bhagavate Banjasara Brahmadan Tadangadaya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Bhajavat Ma Bhajama Tenzom Benjama Midyamen Ma Bodhi Chitam Benjama Bodhi Mendaba Samkarmana Vajrasavagamavara Bijodana Banjazoa Abana planet blood as was Adavija Tere was Sets a precious scrap for the measure with the lotus sun and moon Bezos Lord free all living with the compassion in this age of strife and grace where it in your conscience we pray Visions of the 10 points and yours whole life is on fire is open Shravaka Sangha who here come elevator and visit come to us we may honor you and pay tribute to it obey protector O Shakyalaya bless all his teachings into your opening caskets of holy teaching Lama gods and great please come we beseech you to spread the Dharma come for tribute to it obey bound by the sages of the holy David Bena Odadote Angaja Jedakalika Vanavase Kanakavaja Vajipuda Juda Pantaka Madrakana Kavaradvaja Engebendo Labaradvaja Vagulara Hola Pantaka Endaganagasena Holy Gopaka Veva you to the Mereve, can't you be so obi, Veva, have wisdom, Buddha, you come Savira, to be protected Dharma, where your days are visited. You uphold and guard the Buddha's word. and Shan Yo Hong Koza de Da Da, in Sansara for Zoha, by Chen O Ya La Biblega. Basa ga ho so review to agenda trigen come to the pressure fiddle matter please come for tribute namo rana jaya ya o namo bhagava lanjar zara brahmandana dadanga Arahat Samya Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaja Vaja Mahavaj Maitenza Benja Mahamidya Benja Mahabodhi Chidambe Mahabodhi Mendra Sakramana Vajra Sarvagama Vara Bijodana Benja Oda daga da so trivoja in generation lands of human. Troya without exception, I by the body was by the single this good action prayer. I by the as many body as the jumps of the Buddha to the better that I be for each jump as many Buddha as the jumps amid the house, as I imagine all Dharma, completely with the conqueror, and balance is oppressed for them, is not in our ocean of music. I praise all the Buddha quality, and your Lord, all the Sugata. Hejada Golden Buddha, on ever fed beauty, one face to hand cross leg, he goes to heaven, Krala to the Gurus, Emeda teaching flourish, and to the great Angaja, who dwells on this mountain, with the ten hand he holds a ball and fly with Krala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish, and to the great Ajita, on Sage Crest Mountain, with his 100 he sits in meditation, Krala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish, and to Grevanavase, a sevenfold leaf grotto, with 1400 he threatens and holds a whisk, Krala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish, and to the great Kalika, in Jambu de Pavitis, 1100 he holds a golden earring, Krala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish, and to great Vajiputra, who occupies Singala, with his 1000 arha. He threatens and holds away, Krala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish, and to the great Shri Bhadra, on the Yamuna River, with his 100 preaching and meditating, to the Gurus, and let the teacher flourish. Ganagavatsa, who dwells in holy Kashmir, with his 500 ahara vibrations in his head, Kralala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish. Kanaka Bharadwaja, a Western Godaniya, with 700 he sits in meditation. Kralala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish. And to the great Rahula, who dwells in Northern Guru, with his 900 his 2 hands hold the mongoose. Kralala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish. And to the great Rahula, who occupy Priyanku, 1100 he holds a precious glass. He holds the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish. Juda Bantaka, up above Chirpi Mountain, with 600 he sits in meditation. Kralala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish. Pindala Bharadwaja, who lives in East India, with his 1000 he holds a bowl and scriptures. Halala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish. And to the great Pantaka, who dwells in Triyatrimsha, with his 900 he holds a book and preaches. Kralala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish. And to great Nagasena, in Bipula Pasharawa, with his 1200 Abasasa with his Kralala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish. And to holy Gopaka, in great Behola mountain, with 400 he holds the sacred scripture. Kralala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish. And to the great Abhida, who dwells in the Himalaya, with his 1000 he holds a Bodhisattva. Kralala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish. And to the Gandamata, he holds his matter. Vedamita Bhavache, he goes was and flower. Kralala to the Gurus, and let the teaching flourish. And to the 4 great sovereigns, all north and south, east and west, Avestang and diligent, Pajada Buddha teaching. Alone to the Gurus, and the teaching, glorious, give flowers and all the color, simple function, umbrella, is good in us and the Congo, take your comments and the best of you, is there about a hill. Design and all things wonder, of the Congo, all this of heavens and sons above, amid to the Buddha with my mind, by the single faith and courage, about and all the Congo, so Benjamin, oh, the basic golden government, oh, Benjamin, surrounded. Sentence stands at home. Masimiro, king of mountains, this is Prophet South Zambudi, West Godania, North Guru, Dehan Vida, Chamara, Bachamara, Satan, Utramandina, Koravan and Kara, precious mountain, which fulfilling tree, which fulfilling cow, unblocker, precious well, precious queen, precious minister, precious elephant, excellent, precious horse, precious general, great treasure. God is the beauty, God is the God, God is the song, God is the dance, God is the incense, God is the fly, God is the light, God is the perfume, the sun, the moon, the precious umbrella, banner, victory, and all the perfect collection, wealth, the splendid human God without excess. But this is Shakyamuni Buddha, the Lord of Sages, and 16 Saviors, with your host of Arahat. Through your compassion, accept this offering, grant your blessing to all sending. Om Guru Buddha Bodhisattva Sopareva Ratna Mandala Puja Mega Samrudra Savara Samoyo Devlasana Vapyara Sadave Masumero Adamai for content Faisans of Jesanemo all God's humanity as ever your treasure, the granting covenant, and blood grow as ever. As a month of fire, the best of our pressure, I get Gurus and Buddha, that I can Lord, my offering for an ocean pure as a dove, we gather clouds of tribute, ornament as a light shining in directions repression Trasabio number shade pressure light Cheshwaza like Alify or Jazada sense to gra the fire bogots a human lie offense Samantaba Rajabia class born by my virtue my Pavere Relandama Dadela Elo Eda Wadobe I offer them to the King of Damasura Devada Vijaza Remba Prate Kabudaze Ameo Adezave be enjoyed my body will diverge of the chance I offer for the sake of every desire of our Compassion for me, Padre God is my ave, your blessed, Om Guru Buddha Buddha Sabare, Enamendala Puja Menga Samundra Sabara, Samaya. Every mistake I have committed with my body, my words, and my mouth, through great delusion, I confess in each and every one. I rejoice in all of the merit of conquerors in generation. Delving near the Buddha, the none is a living being. You illuminate the jungle, whoever did treasure like me. I entreat you to turn the belly will order before the bones are humbly visit all those who go to Nirvana to serve with the vocalization to benefit a living being whatever grew through bowing tribute and confessing requesting praying I dedicate to the enlightenment of all being by calling upon the holy name of Lord Lucy, along with the name of the Retinue, I shall propitiate the solemn pleasures. So we'll chant this mantra a little bit. During this recitation, you should visualize the Buddhas and Arhats we have visualized in the space above. Imagine from each and every one of them many healing rays and beams of light shine to you, everyone else, all the people in the world. May the sorrow and difficulties, wrong views, bad thoughts, and attitude be shifted by their faith, by the power of our prayer for the benefit of all sentient beings. Tadyada Mune Mune Mahamune Shakyamune So with the 7,400 cords and divine cross samsara. Bless the Duchen to enjoy. The benefit of every prayer, where there is semblance of offering, assembly of great and noble being. Bless the Duchen to enjoy. May all my own and others' virtue spread the Duchen, source of aid and joy. May it cause us suffering bitter. May the sea while filling an ocean of merit. Allegories and completing a great sea. May hope his bliss sublime to his and Buddha's perfect. Never parted from your quality. You be of favor, be tyranny. May the Guru grant the my compassion of all the Buddha, you manifest in Sesarafon, to God the be holy aha, grant the good fortune, protect all the Dependava, Drishta Rasha and Birudaka. Viviro Pasha and Vaishrana, over Greek and Granda go for you. So benefit and joy. May the teaching prevail forever. May the holy Dhamma hold alive. Life it is by the sage coming to the wall, by the teaching shining like the sun, Sangha in the Sabbath in the God, may the Duchen enjoy him. Serving God in all the northern land, farewell wisdom and accomplishment. Light on Duchens in the land of snow. May the teachings of Sakya increase. Vajrasana of the snowy red. May the Dharma rule of Sakya grow. May the Lini Benewa Broge. May Grede Bevazas Gregor Malo Pandita, wise and mighty Reverend Juju, second Buddha bless our Kyochi, so that them enjoy. So now we move to prayer for the happiness of all that lives. A few more pages down towards the back of your text. Page 20, okay. Page 22, isn't it? Prayer for the happiness of all that lives. Yeah? Yeah. Precious teachings of the one of the others who give it to you. Enjoy all times and blessed, may the flourish heaven. Of all love is and compassion, holding teacher to the Pele Guru So Vajave Mede Lila Mede Nambak Shoya Vaja Bada Levin Be Brada Zed Mede Paya Sangha Zanva Mede Va Flourish Vebe Nezede Pipa Gana Driva Hoda Mede Bambi Viva Mujala Mede Bala Java Driva Bala Galan Zava Vebe Hada Jada Bila Mede Zere Veva Vada Po Gadan Bana Goza Vaja Lani Gaza Gaza Zagaba Bega Danzan Jaha Sable Volin Shaza Jandara Soda Java Nizaleme Medovla Kaska Grande Vere Hazan Gavila People singing Let's Greta Ja Mabara Campebina Rola Gava Velen Bizove Subject Subject Denadele Medagore Jajoran Holy structures of the conqueror and the Damascus Paliclas over in Deva Samba Bandage of the Hova Damagara Savara Bavendo the Money Spending time to teach it and I made the chanting and the prayer made the people know his manzana holy pills and more listening thinking meditating well so the teachings of the Sugat those are practice of distraction shine the way to your heart we do wash in a piece of the methods because I like us we are practice and so good maybe shine on living a little I got a way than diamond give him more got the patience meditation with answer we perfect the wood of the mellow what the Dharma is to proper into someone as a may increase of the venom clearing all the Dharma's interests then perfect every game book any virtue that does the message virtues and get others by the Guru message and Grega by the truth of all by the zeal of beyond made this obligation be glorious agamas of the Lord of the Mahayana Hindi Kunga Jensen King of Johnson may your blessings have more Lama Obi Bandita wasn't Babu Holy Man remember the glorious Agaba may your teachings have more August of the Conqueror gather in a body Kunga Sambo Buddha's prophecy may your teachings have more glorious Agas and the Sanga Rasa Laga Oshomer there's a damn action flood of wood, touching cities of the hill. Yarama, Bodhime, Shara Sambosa, Zunga Garo, those are the day, Maya Dijan Florida. Buddha regions like Yamanjushe, Vetaline, Rorabe. Kerza, the Venzan for Koran, Tijan, Media calling, present to my inner order. Exuajada, Losaba, Maya Dijan Florida. Whether they coming to the world, but the teaching shining like us. Sangha in Disaba in Ego, Meda Doden Elomon. Meda teaching and the teachers, those who hold the teaching. Meda Baba, Mother Go, Meda Doden Elomon. Meda to the lineage Guru, Meda blessings of the tribute. Meda Damakanda Bamba, in Ego, the bread. Thank you, everyone. Now we have tea here. Those who are on Zoom, please have tea and whatever drink yours sumptuously supplied. Precious is the Buddha, Dansabaza, teacher, precious Dhammasabaza, precious Sangha, to the triple gem object matter everything. With sincere devotion, with this carefully prepared food, which please them 100 days to the victorious their success. May all living beings sustain with abundant food and meditation. Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. This is the tea for all the Zoom people here. Here, this chai all the way from Paul. Paul is a chai maker, chai. There's a bit of cups here to pass that around. Okay. Cups here for everybody, cups here for everyone. Please help yourself. You know, why not? Everything is available on Zoom. Why not taste cups there?
Did you make this movie shake?
No, so it just appeared out of nowhere. Oh, yep, moving up north.
Moving up north.
Have a good up north. Colleen is very old member. She's been very dedicated student and benefactor and many things, practitioner. So now she's moving to be with her sister. Good on you. Yes. What are the sisters
And
for?
thank you for all the teachings, Rinpoche.
You're most welcome. We're always as near as we are.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. You get some? You don't want? People have any prayers to say and good wishes to express and questions to ask, please feel free while everybody's relishing the kheer, kapse, and chai. Those of you who couldn't see, we have on Zoom Kathy Woodbridge from all the way from near Bundaberg, and then we have Carol from Melbourne, and then we have Gregory from Tasmania, but now I don't know where he's floating, somewhere, and Melinda from South Gippsland, Irina from Rockhampton, and Catherine, of course, is she must be landed in somewhere softly on a cushion, flying from India. So welcome back if you are nearby or on the way. Claire from New Zealand, Zhang from up north, Northern Rivers, I think. Maggie from Wellington, Zorika from Sydney, Lara from South Coast, and Jackie from South Coast as well. Anthony in the middle of the retreat, in simplicity, serenity, stillness, everywhere. And of course all of you are here. Thank you.
Probably lots of people on YouTube and Facebook.
Sure. Of course they do. Today, His Holiness Dalai Lama came out and gave a short teaching on the Jataka Mala's life of the Buddha's past lives. That's what the tradition is. And they talk about not just the last life, the miracles, but how many past lives he lived as Bodhisattva. So they go over all those teachings. So that's how they usually give teachings on such occasions. But nowadays, due to His Holiness' ripe age, he only did today. Usually they do a few days in Dharamsala. So everybody is having a great, blessed day. Unfortunately, many are not so due to the war and natural disasters. So lots going on. Some of you will know Harvey Bay and Northern Queensland people. Some of you will know one old member from Queensland. I think some friend of hers, Japanese Buddhist friend of her, rang me saying she passed away. Christine Dyke, that's her name. Everybody has their time, and they must go. She lives near Kyogle. Such is life. Others are giving birth, having their first child. Such is life. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for bringing your good self to the practice tonight and thinking of this wonderful, blessed day, showing the miracles by the Buddha in order to inspire the deluded. Of course, people who really know the Buddha Dharma, they don't need spectacles. They know the teachings, amazing virtue and truthfulness. They don't need to see the toothpick turning into a tree. that's not what the Buddhist way, and some people say, oh, such and such have no miracles, oh, no relics. I think that's a very difficult, not good way to assess some holy master's life. We shouldn't look for rainbows. There are rainbows all the time, so who's that? Which Rinpoche is in Queen Bin? Which Rinpoche is... No, so we shouldn't always look for this mystical science, the real science, the practical changes. Then it's much more important. Okay, thank you everybody. Continue your good mind at work, inspired by the Dharma. Thank you.